Good afternoon, students. I am Arul. So today we'll discuss one of the paragraphs asked in the CLAT 2022 paper, which is based on the legal reasoning. So legal reasoning is a very critical part in the CLAT exam as well, because it has certain things that you might not have read in your normal science group or arts group. So legal reasoning basically gives you a certain set of rules, or it talks about a certain law which is applicable to Indian citizen, and how the law can be interpreted during different cases. So they will give you basic idea about the law, and they will ask you questions about how the law can be applied in different scenarios. So for example, today's today's one of the paragraphs which I am going to discuss appeared in CLAT 2022. So this talks about writ of Mandamus. So basically, the passage says that writ is basically a public law, is a public law remedy, because here it says that the court can direct certain governmental agencies in order to fulfill their duties. For example, the legal duty, the duty which means the legal duty of a certain governmental organization. So for example, you have your local bodies. So your local bodies has a duty to provide you with good amount of water. It also has a thing to give. It has also a legal duty to provide electricity and good housing to yourself. So, and also some, for example, you can say safety. Safety of the human citizen is a very important thing. It is also duty of the body, the government, to give the security to a person. So anything comes under anything that violates this legal duty by the government, the the law can, the court can give them a writ of mandamus and make them to perform a certain legal duty, and this refers to only to the government functions and related issues, and not to any private individuals. That is what is given in the paragraph. So let us see that some cases that they are given here. The government of a state made a rule to make it discretionary to grant dearness allowance to its employees. One of the employees filed a writ petition seeking a mandamus to compel the government to grant dearness allowance. In the given situation, which of the following statements is true? So here, see, the government, yes, the government, if you ask me whether the government is having any duty to provide dearness allowance, I would say it is partially, because the government is having legal duty to provide salary to the people, but not a particular dearness allowance, which also is based on some criteria, based on a discretionary criteria. So it cannot be called as a duty of the government to give such extra bonuses or something that is related to the particular case by case basis. Yes, it is liable to give salary, but it is not liable to give the dearness allowance and the certain criteria that they are set for the dearness allowance. So if we see the options, you can see the option A says the writ of mandamus cannot be granted as legal duty, as no legal duty was imposed on the government to grant dearness allowance. Yes, that's the right answer. Writ of mandamus cannot be granted as a statutory right was conferred on the employee to receive a dearness allowance. Writ of mandamus can be granted as it is a public law remedy. Writ of mandamus can be granted as it is a discretionary remedy. See here, there are two options, okay, which say that the mandamus cannot be given. So you know that mandamus cannot be given in this case, but there are two options. You have to reject one of the options based on the particular reasoning that is given in the passage. The first one talks about the legal duty of the government. So it says there is no legal duty involved. The second one says about the statutory right that was conferred on the employee to receive dearness allowance. So there might be a statutory, we don't know whether there is a right or not, but actually it is not a duty of the government to give such extra bonuses or benefits as per the law. So that we go with the option A. And option C and D is clear no. So you should not go for the options. So second question. A public spirited citizen filed a writ petition seeking a mandamus to compel the government to make a law to curb the ill effects of climate change. In the given situation, which of the following statements is true? So you might have a basic idea of the constitution and other working, like you might have studied in your lower classes internet. So yes, global warming and the effects of climate is a very important issue which the government has to take care of. But there is no legal duty, as I said, that the government should go and compulsorily stop that particular act. And it is also not possible, like for a single person to act upon it. It's a multi cultural or multi, you can say geographical, also it is important. So you cannot say that this is a right of the legal duty of the government to do something. For example, if you say should curb the pollution in the case of Delhi, yes, it's a big problem because the people of Delhi are facing a lot of pollution problems because of the vehicles as well as the industries around it. It's a life-threatening one. So yes, the government will intervene and take action on it. But until then, there is no legal duty on the government to do such acts. So it is clear. So here also there are two things, two options. Option B and option D says the writ of mandamus cannot be given, but option D says the writ of mandamus should not be granted as there is no violation of the fundamental right. So fundamental rights means it's a new term because it talks about certain rights that every citizen of India is given, like the right, for example, it's a right to free speech, right to right to live, right to education is one of the rights. So it is not about the fundamental right. Yes, there may be other laws which may talk about the fundamental right, but this particular writ of mandamus is to make the government to act on certain lapses that are made there and their legal duty. So this particular thing might not be applicable for this. So we go with option B, which is writ of mandamus cannot be granted as no legal duty is imposed on the government to pass a law to curb the illness of climate change. Mr. A and Mr. B are parties to contract of sale of goods. Upon breach of contractual obligations by Mr. A, Mr. B filed a writ petition seeking mandamus to compel Mr. A to perform his obligations under the Act. In the given situation, which of the following is true? So it's clear. So A and B, as per what is given, are not related to government in any way. So you cannot compel anyone, you cannot compel the court to pass a writ of mandamus on an individual person because it is a private right. So that person may obey the contract or may not obey the contract. Yes, again, this contract thing comes under different law, contract law, where you have agreed to pay someone a particular amount of money for the goods you're going to purchase in future, but this particular law will not be applicable. So that you have to understand. Since it is between two private parties and it becomes a private right of Mr. A to respond to B, he might not also give, but he will face the consequences under different law, not under this. A licensing officer is under a statutory duty to issue a license to an applicant who fulfills the conditions prescribed for the issue of such license. Mr. X, an applicant, fulfilled all the conditions prescribed for the issue of the license, but his application for issuance of license was rejected by the licensing officer. In the given situation, which of the following statement is correct? So here again there are two options, which says writ of mandamus can be granted. There are two other options which writ of mandamus cannot be granted. So it's a clear case of avoiding a legal right because the statement clearly says that he has fulfilled all the conditions prescribed. In which case the government officer should give the clearance for the particular person. So it is a clear case of writ of mandamus can be imposed on the particular person by the court to do his legal right, and he has to do it. So option A and B say option A and C says writ of mandamus can be granted, but only that the C says that it is the discretion of the licensing operator to grant license. So it cannot be accepted because as per the government rules, if certain law, if for example there is a contractor who is working to build the contracts, so build the roads, so he has given a very competitive quotation and he has good experience. For example, that might be the criteria of 15 years of experience, and he has given a service record of serving with the government for last 5 years maybe. So such conditions, all maybe there are 10 conditions, all the 10 conditions are cleared by that particular person. Nobody can stop him. That is the only, that is the case that government should act. That's how the government works, right? So in that case, it cannot become the discretion of a person. So the person has the right to sign it immediately since he is collaborating. Since he has completed all the um, requirements. So the last question is, which of the following statements is incorrect? Writ of mandamus may be issued in favor of a person who establishes the existence of a legal right. Writ of mandamus may be issued against a person or authority who has a mandatory duty to perform but has failed or has neglected to do so. Writ of mandamus is purported to prevent disorder emanating from failure of justice. Writ of mandamus can be requested to be issued to compel performance of private duties which may be administrative, ministerial or statutory in nature. So it's clear that the last option is what is, it should not be done because it talks about the private duty. So no, there is no talk between two privates which can be settled by the court under this writ of mandamus. Yes, there might be other laws which can act on it, but this is not applicable. And the other options, if you see that writ of mandamus is purported to prevent disorder emanating from failure of justice. Yes, if a government is not providing, for example, the vaccines to it is preventing the supply of vaccines to certain sect of people or certain area of people, yes, then it becomes a big legal commitment and some court has to intervene and order the government to immediately supply because it has the right to do and protect the people. Writ of mandamus may be issued in favor of a person who establishes the existence of legal right. Yes, if some person establishes that the government has a legal right to do something, then it can be done by, it should be done by the government. Writ of mandamus may be issued against a person or authority who has a mandatory duty to perform. So any government officer or any person who is nominated by the government, he has certain duties. If he fail on that, then writ of mandamus will be surely applicable on that. So this is one of the topics which we have discussed today. There are a lot of other topics which usually they give in law, like for example it can be on contract law, which is also a famous law, some company act, or some based on some marriage act is also very hot topic in last 2-3 years if you see, as well as controlling of religious entities in order to prevent in order to support the religious coexistence of people, and some other laws are also like the abortion laws. So these are the laws which have been asked maybe in the few years. So we will keep discussing about that in coming days. Hope you found this useful to you. Thank you.